What's going on, everyone? Welcome to my second video on the Wave 2 DLC announcement. So, I'm not just milking content here, I promise. The original video that I put out this morning was much more of like an initial reaction kind of video. So it was just looking at the trailer that we saw on like Nintendo America's announcement video on YouTube and getting my my first gut reaction to what we saw. But somebody on Twitter, I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry if you'd posted it and I saw it from your page, but they posted a link to a website from Nintendo's Japan website that actually showed gameplay and music footage from all 8 of the courses that are going to be dropping in the DLC this time around. So I wanted to actually go through and break down what we can see in all those videos and break down some things that I didn't actually notice in my initial reaction. So I'm hoping that you all enjoy that. Now, before we get into that video, I do want to say that just to avoid repeating myself on every track, I think that most of the tracks, I think that all the tracks really are at least decent looking, and they, aside from Kalamari Desert, have amazing music. So we can get all that out of the way so I'm not repeating myself in every track. But let's move on and actually check out each individual track, and I can show you what it was that we might have missed and some initial thoughts on how things might actually pan out when we get to play them on August 4th. So, starting out with New York Minute, before we even get started, we can already see something kind of interesting here, which is that there are these split paths here that are not actually opened, or they're actually opened up. It seems like they're opened up on at the very start of the race. So the way that New York Minute actually works out in Tour is that in one version of the track, the left path is open, and then another version of the track, the right path is open. So it's kind of interesting that they don't split it up like that, because I would have assumed that this would have been like a Tokyo Blur style course where, you know, you're getting different versions of the track. Or you're getting like all the different versions of the track kind of in one go, and each lap is different, but that seems to not really be the case here. The other most immediate thing that you'll notice as soon as we start the video here is the music. I know I said I wasn't going to repeat this, but like the music sounds so amazing, and if you actually compare it to the tour version, it's definitely a step up in quality from what we saw in the actual like tour version. There's a couple things I want to point out again regarding the split path. So let's actually jump back here for a second. There's a shot, is it right around, there's a shot of Rosalina, I think, going off of the glider. Oh. Yeah, so it's this shot right here. And again, you can see that there's like, that Rosalina went off this glider here, and she's going to trick off a bus, and then there's a split path open up here. So some kind of Paris promenade style vibes from this, and it'll be kind of interesting again to see how that all ends up playing out when we actually get the track in the DLC. It's a bit unfortunate that most of what we see is backward shots like this, because we can't actually get very much information about the track beyond what I just talked about. So let's move on to Mario Circuit 3. Look at that crazy hairpin turn. So you can't really see it here very well, but if you look at if you go to that website that I have linked in the description, you can see like it's let me actually see if I can pull it up here really quick. So this is a much better shot of that turn right here. I have no idea how we're supposed to be able to take this turn, especially when it comes to 200cc. So I can almost guarantee, without even needing to play the track or see anything else, that this is going to be a baby course for no other reason than this right here. One other thing that I noticed is that just from taking a look at the course, like just looking at it right now, this one shot, you can see that around almost every turn in the track, there is a ton of off-road. And so I would be incredibly surprised if this doesn't end up being one of the craziest bagging tracks like in the entire game. And you can actually see that if you play the full video, because you'll be able to see more of the track, and you can see that yes, there is pretty much off-road around every single turn. So yeah, this is going to be a bagger's paradise for sure. In terms of aesthetics, the course is about as good as we can expect from an SNES course. But one thing I do want to point out about the music is that it's really cool that they were able to really capture the original feeling of the SNES, but with real instruments, which is more than I can say for the next course that we're about to talk about, which is Kalamari Desert. There's not much getting around it, man. This music really sucks. It's not so much this part, it's when they get into where the original like whistling part from the 64 was supposed to be at. So like right here. I just don't understand why they did that. The whole point of the whistling sound in the 64 was to make it sound like a Western. And, you know, while I don't think that the adding brass is bad in an objective sense, it like totally ruins what the music was supposed to be from the original, which again is kind of in contrast to Mario Circuit 3, where they actually like recreated the feel of the Super NES version, where it's like this, they try to do something different, and it's like I can appreciate that they tried to do that, but just listening to it right now makes me kind of cringe. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to be too disrespectful to the musicians, but I appreciate what they were going for. I just don't think it works with the actual theme of the course and how it was supposed to sound. Now, gameplay-wise, there are a couple things that I want to point out here. So take a look at the glider ramp here. In my initial reaction video, I mentioned that I wasn't sure whether the glider was supposed to just be clearing this little bit of off-road to get you over here to like right before the railroads, or if it's supposed to get you like all the way over the fence. And I think it actually is supposed to get you all the way over there. So if you look, you can see like how high the glider gets you. There's like no way that I don't know who that is, but there's no way that they're landing on here. So clearly this is supposed to get you all the way over here, which seems like a really massive time save. And this isn't too far from the main track. So it may be the case that you can actually hit this shortcut like shroomeless, which would save a ton of time over just going around like normal. The other thing to point out is the tunnel here. So I mentioned in my initial reaction video that I wasn't sure whether or not we were actually going to be doing anything fun with the tunnel, because in the original 64 version, if you like had a star, you could go through there and it would like help you complete a lap. And I was saying I wasn't sure whether that was going to be something similar here, if you're even going to be able to go into the tunnel at all. And it looks like this is actually an intended way to go, and it looks like they're even completing a lap here. You can see because they have the Mario Kart sign up here. So it looks like this might actually be kind of like a combination of the two versions. I think there's two versions of Kalamari Desert in Mario Kart Tour, where one of them you go around the track like normal, and then in the other version you actually go through the tunnel. So it looks like they're actually going to be combining both of those for the Booster Pass Wave 2. So that's kind of cool. The one thing that's a little bit weird, so I'm going to let this play out for just a second. It looks like Link is going really slow there, right? Like let's watch that again. Like if you notice in this shot, he's holding a mushroom, right? And then he's going to use it, and it looks like he's going really slow here. But it might just be like a trick of perspective, but I don't know. We'll have to wait and see when the actual course comes out. But just something that I noticed I thought was kind of interesting. Keeping with the theme of courses that have kind of underwhelming music, let's talk about Waluigi Pinball for a little bit. I know I'm being kind of a hater already, but I was never really a big fan of the Wario Stadium music, which I think this is exactly the same as Wario Stadium that's currently in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I could be wrong about that, but it sounds the same. So I don't have much to say that I didn't already say in my initial reaction trailer for this course. Again, there doesn't look to be a lot of shortcuts. Really doesn't look to be any shortcuts at all. And that seems to be consistent with the version that's currently in Mario Kart Tour. If we let this play out a bit, you can see right here Inkling Girl bonking into this bumper. It looks like it behaves just like a normal wall, so it might be just kind of like a moving wall that's going around in circles. And the other thing to point out here is this gigantic pinball off to the side. Those things right there, like these bumpers in this pinball. Again, I think I said this in the initial reaction video. It's going to make this course an absolute nightmare to time trial. One more thing to point out. Hi Waluigi, how's it going? This place right here is at the start of the lap where you go through like a cannon glider. You're kind of getting shot up a little pinball tube to actually get into the pinball machine. And this right here is where you're going to want to target shock people. So when somebody gets in there, if you're holding a shock and you know that somebody that you hate is right at the start of the lap, bang, target shock them. They're going to hate you for the rest of your life. Moving on to Sydney Sprint, and first things first, holy hell, does this music go hard or what? Man, I remember playing this on tour, and I don't recall it being nearly as hype as what we're hearing right now. But this is amazing. This soundtrack is amazing. Now, gameplay-wise, kind of like New York Minute, there's not a lot to talk about just because we get a lot of shots like this where it's very like close-up shots of like people's faces, and so we can't really see very much of the track. And the other thing is that we can't really tell how they're going to integrate all the different versions of Sydney Sprint together. If you actually watch some gameplay footage of Mario Kart Tour's version of Sydney Sprint, there's like a few different versions of the course, and it looks like what's going to happen is they're going to integrate all three of those versions, kind of like what they do with Paris Promenade or Tokyo Blur, where it's like different versions on the different laps. And the reason I say that is so if you look at this shot right here, Baby Peach and Baby Mario are moving away from this like Ferris wheel over here and this big yellow building, right? So let's watch this for just a second. So you can see that they're coming this way, right? But then in this next shot, you can see that Isabelle is moving towards, it goes really fast. You might have missed it, but you can see that Isabelle is moving towards those buildings, right? So I hope you guys caught that. But that's why I'm pretty sure that they're actually going to be going like different directions on the different laps, which is kind of interesting because it seems like it's just going to be like Paris Promenade, right? Where, you know, you'll be able to run into people going backwards. I don't know what lap it's going to be on, obviously, because we don't have it yet, but I would imagine it's going to be a similar thing with Paris Promenade, where on lap 3, you're basically running the course backwards. One reason why that's interesting, these ramps off to the right. So these, it looks like they're present on all 3 laps. If you watch that clip back with Baby Peach kind of running the course backwards, you can see that it looks like the ramps are still up there. Now, I mentioned this a little bit in the initial reaction video. There may be some potential for some Excite Bike Arena type stuff where you trick off one ramp and then you can do like a little mini turbo trick off the other ramp. But there's a video that I'm working on that I didn't mention in the initial reaction video, which is about some new tech that's been discovered within the last month, which is called a slide jump. I'm not going to go into detail about it here because it's kind of beside the point, but for like a really quick explanation of what it is. So you trick off of a ramp and then you land in a drift. And then as soon as your original trick boost runs out, you trick off the second ramp. It's actually a slide. It's actually a slide trick. Sorry, I messed that up. But it's basically a way to get like a more powerful version or an extended version of a trick boost. So it keeps your trick boost going longer than you would initially plan for it to be. And it seems like that's something that could show up here. Now, airtime tends to be pretty slow, so it's not clear whether or not that's actually going to be useful. But I do think that there is some potential for interesting ramp strategies just because of the way that the course is set up. But again, because airtime is so slow, it may be the case that it's just faster to stay on the ground. But this is another course that I think will be really interesting to see how the strats evolve, how the time trial strategies evolve, over the first few weeks of the Wave 2 actually being released. Okay, everyone, we are moving on to GBA Snowland. If you've watched my track ranking video, you'll know that I have kind of a bias towards winter themed courses, and this track does no favors in removing that bias. First of all, I mean, it just looks amazing. Like if you can look over at the ice textures here, and you can look at the snow and all this stuff, and it's one of the best looking courses in the DLC, I think. And the music, let's take a listen really quick. I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about the music for these courses too much, but you have to listen to this. It's so amazing. If it's possible, it's like a more upbeat version of Sherbetland, right? I don't know. It's one of those things where you can't listen to it and just not be happy. Now let's take a step back and talk about this turn again. So I pointed to it as an example of the course looking really nice, but like I really hope this isn't slippery ice, because oh my god, this is going to be a nightmare to navigate once again on 200cc if that ends up being the case. Now, aside from that, like I feel like we see a decent amount of the course in this little gameplay trailer, and it doesn't look like there's a ton of interesting stuff happening aside from that one hairpin turn. I mean, I could be wrong. Again, we haven't seen the course, obviously, so it may end up being different once we actually get it. But it is kind of weird that it is one of the courses I am more excited to try out, given that we have Waluigi Pinball in this DLC. Because I think that was one of the courses that I was originally the most hyped to play. But after seeing this one, I'm definitely like more leaning towards, again, the winter themed course and being very excited to see how this one looks. One thing I literally just noticed right now is this ramp right here. So there's a ramp off to the side with a coin over here. So that has some potential for some NISC action right here, some little no item shortcuts over here. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, it'll be really cool to see how this course works, how this course looks. And it's definitely one of the ones that I'm most excited to play. When the DLC drops. Moving on to Mushroom Gorge. So I kind of joked about the textures and saying, oh, look, the game is good again because of the textures. I think this course looks pretty good. I think when you look at the trees again, we have kind of these lifeless looking trees. But, aside from that, I think the course actually looks pretty good. I think like, I'm going to maybe summarize this a little bit later on, but I think that they actually did put some effort into the DLC this time around in terms of like making it look good, which I'm pretty pleasantly surprised about. Now, one thing I can say about this course that I'm not pleasantly surprised about is, let's see if we can just get up here right now. This section right here, this like, I can already tell just looking at this one portion of the track that I'm going to absolutely hate playing this course. For those of you who've missed the overly long rants that I made about this topic, that's because there are a ton of bounce pads in this section of the cave. And on bounce pads, there's some tech that you can do called a super bounce, where it's like you do basically like a mini turbo trick off of the bounce pad and it launches you super far. And just looking at this shot here, you can tell there's at least like 4, maybe 5 bounce pads in a row that you have to get around. And I can tell it's going to be one of those sections where doing it right versus doing it wrong is going to cost you like, probably it could be multiple seconds per lap. And if that weren't bad enough, we got to do it again right after we get out of there. It's just, I don't know, man. This course is going to really piss me off. I can already tell. But the one potential saving grace that I will point out is that there are these left and right arrows here, and you can see there is a split path you can take with boost pads. I pray to God that that is the faster way to do this track, but I know it's not going to be, and I know I'm going to have to put up with all this. So I don't know, man. It's definitely a course that I'm not very excited to put together a basic training for. I'll tell you that much. Oddly enough, I do actually kind of feel like this course might be kind of fun on 200cc. I don't know why I feel that way. I think with the 200cc, we have a potential to skip a lot of that crap because you just will bounce so much farther. On 150cc, the bounce paths, I don't know why, they just feel more obnoxious to deal with on 150cc than 200cc, but it kind of remains to be seen how this all ends up actually playing out. Moving on to the last course we have to talk about in this wave, it's going to be High Sundae. So pausing it right here, you can actually tell just by looking at the course, the entire thing is anti-grav. So it's kind of funny actually that they did that, right? Because this is going to be the first course in the entire DLC that actually has any sort of anti-grav, and they just made the entire thing anti-grav. Like they really went hard in the paint. Like, come on guys, we got to make up for lost time here. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get a ton of information about this course gameplay-wise, but I do want to pause here really quick to point out this section. So anybody that has seen me play Water Park or Thwomp Ruins or Coconut Mall knows that I just hate stairs in this game. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and stairs go together like oil and water. And I am not at all excited to time trial this for 200cc, let me tell you. There's actually a clip that I'm going to go to right now. So this is actually a clip from the original launch announcement that I played this morning. And if we actually just watch what happens when Peach gets to this staircase, so we're going to pass the anti-grav section, or I mean the whole thing's anti-grav, but we're going to pass that first little anti-grav bit, and then watch what happens with Peach here when she goes off the stairs. She gets absolutely launched up here. No hops or nothing. And this is just going to be the worst thing in the world to deal with on 200cc. Now, thankfully, it looks like there's nothing that we have to trick off of there, so that kind of gets rid of a lot of the Thwomp Ruins, Coconut Mall problems. But still, it looks like this is going to be similar to a water park situation where if you take this wrong, you're just going to get a ton of airtime, and it will cost you you'll lose like 3 seconds over the course of the run for things that are totally out of your control. So not looking forward to dealing with that, but again, it sort of just remains to be seen how that ends up working when the course actually drops. The one thing that has the potential to be really cool about this course is you might remember when I talked about Sydney Sprint that we had that tech where you can do the slide trick to get your sort of extended trick boosts and stuff, which again, I am putting a video together that will cover all the history of this stuff and cover all those strats in detail. I'm really excited about it, but that's the sort of topic for another video. But it looks like that could potentially apply here as well. And let me show you why. So at this section, so Rosalina tricks, right? Then lands, and there's an immediate trick boost that happens right after here. And then another one right there. So it's like there could be situations where you could literally chain multiple slide tricks, essentially, in quick succession, one right after the other. And I think that this course has the potential to be one of the most interesting courses in the game in terms of how the strats are going to look over time. So it's really cool because I mentioned in this video that I'm working on that one of the things that will be interesting to see is, well, when the DLC tracks drop, how is this new tech going to be used there? And I think this course is going to be a prime example of somewhere that's going to be it's going to be all over the place. And the last thing that I want to point out before we finish up the video is listen to the music here. In particular, there's just a really, really just disgustingly sick bass line that plays in the background here. So check this out. Like, can you just hear all the slapping? You can hear the slap bass, right? I can't help but just laugh whenever I hear it because it's just so cool. It's so sick to hear this awesome slap bass in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It makes me smile whenever I hear it because of how cool it is. So this course definitely is going to have one of my favorite musics. If I could rank tracks based on music, this one already seems like it's going to be up there for sure. So that's going to be it for me for today, everyone. Just to quickly kind of wrap up my thoughts on after this sort of in-depth analysis. I think I'm most excited to play GBA Snowland and the High Sundae. I'm not really excited to time trial High Sundae. I just think it's going to be really cool. It's one of the courses I'm going to be most interested in terms of watching the strategies evolve and how high level time trialers play the track, because it's going to be a really cool thing to watch. The other thing is that I think Mushroom Gorge looks like it has the potential to be fun. It has the potential to be fun. More than likely, it's going to piss me off. More than likely, it's just going to piss me off. But I do think that it's going to be another one of those courses that's going to be really cool to watch, how high-level people play the game, which I am not going to be able to do it that well. But it will be a fun one to pay attention to for sure. The rest of the courses, I think we just don't have that much information about. And except for Waluigi Pinball, which I'm not as excited for as I originally was when the trailer first dropped. After thinking about it a lot, it seems like it's going to just be a really annoying cycle-based track. and it's not going to be a lot of fun to time trial, and it's not going to be a lot of fun to play online, just because there's not really a whole lot going on with it. At least with things like Wario Stadium, you have like the ramp strats and stuff, but as far as I can tell, the Waluigi Pinball looks fairly straightforward. So, you know, again, it kind of remains to be seen just how all this stuff evolves. I know I've said that a lot, but I think I'm not as hyped for Waluigi Pinball as I originally was this morning when I first made my initial reaction video. Now, all in all, I'd be willing to bet that these courses for Wave 2 are probably going to be just about as much fun as the courses in Wave 1. Probably a little better, if for no other reason than the music is really amazing. But, you know, that's all I got to say about the Wave 2 of the DLC. You got my initial reaction. You got the in-depth analysis. I'm really looking forward to playing with everybody on August 4th. Now, I do have a lot of work stuff that's going on August 4th, so I may have to delay my all-day stream till August 5th. If you want more information about that, follow me on Twitter. But I'll leave a link to my Twitter in the description. I'll leave a link to my Twitch. You should go follow me over there. That way, when I do play, you know, you can catch me. We can play some races together. So, you know, thank you all very much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you all on August 4th. And as always, I will see you all in the next video.